How do I make my husband understand the real reason I want to separate? I, 32F, have been married to my husband, 35M, for 2 years. We have been together for 6 years. Things used to be good. We have an infant son who is just under a year old. My husband has severe anger issues that have gotten worse with time. His anger used to only rear its head when he had too much to drink, and even then it was mostly directed at others who he felt had wronged him, not at me. When I got pregnant, we both stopped drinking. Somehow his anger worsened. These days he spirals out of control at things that I feel most people would shrug off. In the last 3 days, he's gotten mad at me because I didn't measure the coffee scoop to water ratio correctly and my cat got trapped in the guest bedroom and didn't have access to his litter box overnight and ended up peeing on one of his shirts. My husband woke up first and found it. While I was asleep, he came in the bedroom and rubbed it in my pillow. He thought I gave him a dirty look as I was carrying a plate of waffles, so he smashed the glass plate out of my hand onto the floor. We have no real issues aside from this. We are more than comfortable financially on my income, and when the baby was born, he quit his job to be a stay-at-home dad and build his own business. This was a joint decision as I like my job, and it allows us to live very comfortably. Now, though, he's increasingly accusing me of liking my job because I must be cheating. I'm not. We knew each other before we got together. Back then, I was dating a very successful man. It didn't work out and we broke up amicably. There were no hard feelings, but we didn't remain friends and don't keep in contact. My husband still throws him in my face when he gets mad. Why don't you call up, X? I'm sure you'd love to *CK his C-star. Are you still talking to him? When's the last time you talked? I have been called every name in the book. W********* and loser are his favorites. Fat ass also struck a certain chord when I was 3 weeks postpartum after an emergency C-section. I am now back to my pre-baby body. I have always liked to look nice and valued my time at the gym, but he has a problem with my gym time now as he also thinks that means I'm cheating there, too. It's exhausting and I am so tired. I walk on eggshells to keep the peace. Today the straw that broke the camel's back was him firing off a barrage of angry texts at my mom and sister, who have never been anything but kind to him. He ultimately blew my sister's proposal and revealed the date, time it will happen, which was supposed to be a surprise. He refuses to apologize, saying that my sister shouldn't be marrying my future brother-in-law because his family comes from money and therefore he must be entitled. I told him I want to separate because I don't want our child to grow up thinking this is normal behavior. My husband grew up in a very poor, broken home and refuses to see that he is perpetuating the cycle. He says being with me makes me feel terrible about himself and that I seem like I hate him. Today he woke me up by walking in the bedroom and announcing, "I feel like I'm wasting my life with you." I later learned this was the result of him being unable to find one of his tools in the garage this morning. I told him that all I ever wanted was for him to be kind to me and the people I care about, like he was for the first several years we were together. Now he is accusing me of breaking up our family and taking his child from him. He is convinced there is someone else waiting for him to be out of the picture so they can steal his family. I will say he does not show his anger in front of our child and absolutely adores the baby. I love their relationship. How do I make him understand that my decision isn't out of hatred or infidelity? I've asked him to get help, and he just says that he knows what they will tell him and that it won't help. I am sad, but I have been grieving this relationship for the better part of a year, and I am ready to get it over with. I just want to deal with this in the most respectful, concise, and painless way possible. Now to the next story, Story 2. My husband, 32M, thinks he's completely justified in his anger and blames all our relationship problems on me, 33F. My husband, 32M, thinks his anger is completely justified and blames all of our relationship issues on me, 33F. My marriage with my husband is still pretty new. We've only been married for a year and 4 months, and only known each other 2 years. It was a bit of a whirlwind, with outside life circumstances driving us to take the leap to marriage. However, once married, my husband's anger has spiraled out of control. He throws things, will repeatedly call me stupid and other names, berated me in public, and stormed off and left he alone in public. The two worst occasions both happened in the airport. The first time was when we were going through TSA. It was crowded and he had many trays worth of stuff, and I was already through and repacked. My intention was to help him out by taking his laptop and iPad and meet him over by the benches to get repacked. As soon as I grabbed his things, he started berating me. "What are you doing?" "I'm just trying to help you. Put my laptop down." Once I put it down, he berates me again. "Where are you going?" "I'm trying to get out of the way." "Why are you yelling at me?" He continues on, ends up kicking my suitcase. A TSA agent is trying to get by, and he scolds me when I try to make room for him. Once he gets all things, he sits at the bench and gathers up all my things that he carries, my passport/keys/ etc., throws them at me, says he wants no responsibility over me, when he is the one who insists to carry my stuff, that I'm stupid and unreasonable and careless. He storms off to the lounge, leaving me alone. He almost misses our flight. I had to message him the plane was boarding, and he got there 5 minutes before gates closed. It took me a month to get the courage to ask him why he got so angry at me. He finally told me that I was holding his laptop inappropriately, that someone could have bumped into me and broken it. He never indicated that during the fight, and I don't think I was holding it in a dangerous way. He went on stating that his laptop is his life and his career, and how dare I disrespect something that means so much to him. I told him that his response was beyond out of control, that even if it got broken, it's replaceable. We never resolved that fight. The second time was after we landed in his native country. It was late, and I didn't sleep at all on the flight. I needed to get a train ticket to the hotel. I asked him to get one for me, and he replies, "I don't know how." Keep in mind this is his native country where he lived over 20 years. I don't have any country-specific money, do you? He hands me a mesh pouch that clearly has US bills in it, but visually no currency from his native country. I need X, this is all US money. He immediately launches into a tirade. Are you stupid? I look again and only see US bills. This looks like only US bills. You're F*** I'm stupid. What is wrong with you? I look again and notice another pocket. I open that up and find some tightly folded bills from his country. I apologize. I didn't see the money and go and retrieve my ticket. When I get back, I apologize again. Recognize that I made him feel belittled by doubting him. All techniques I've been taught to do in these situations by our marriage counselor. He goes, I don't kinda care. You're stupid. And berates me again and again in the middle of the airport. I ask him to calm it down. Be mad but don't berate me, and let's just get to the hotel. He continues some more until he just starts leaving. He's walking in the opposite direction to the platform we discussed before the flight. And when I point that out, he starts in again. You think you know the transportation system before than someone native to here? You think you're that superior? Fine. Take your own superior way to the hotel. At this point, I'm dumbfounded, confused, embarrassed, humiliated. And I also realize I have no working internet on my phone. Husband planned the trip but forgot that detail. And he also has my passport. I rush after him because I have no way to navigate to the hotel. I have 2 suitcases while he only has 1, plus I'm still recovering from a broken leg. I was able to tail him and got to the hotel safely, but he didn't look or speak to me the rest of the night. The next morning he tried to apologize, but I'm still fuming. I would never dare to leave my spouse like that. He didn't even think about that I have no way to easily contact him and that he had my passport. Because we were having lunch with his family, it got dropped. Last night, I finally got the opportunity to talk to him about the incident. I told him how scared I was, how I felt disrespected, that no matter how angry I am at him, I would never leave him behind. His argument was that, if I didn't belittle him, he would have never gotten angry. I asked him if he would do it again. He said yes because he needed to take a break away from me. I reminded him that I didn't have the tools necessary to navigate the area. He said he would give me my passport and a pocket Wi-Fi, and so logically I would be safe, and he would leave me to navigate alone. I told him that I still found his solution disrespectful and sad towards his wife, and he told me he has a right to deal with his anger as he sees fit. We left the conversation on that note. I also asked him if he thinks his anger response is normal. He said he thinks it is because I'm the only person he's ever gotten this kind of angry at. That if I would fix my trauma, emotionally abusive and neglectful childhood, then I wouldn't trigger his anger. Anytime I try to talk about something that bothers me in the relationship, he tells me my thinking is warped and it relates back to my trauma. I know I need to work on that aspect, but I don't think it's fair to say that I'm the sole reason for his anger or that none of my relationship concerns are valid. I think his behavior is borderline abusive, but he always seems to logic everything back into being a problem around my trauma. I just need a sanity check that this behavior is not okay, right? Now to the next story, Story 3. I, 49F, overheard a conversation between my husband, 47M, and his sister, 43F, about how the reason why my daughter, 24F, is so messed up is because I was a bad parent. I don't even know how to proceed after hearing that. My first husband died when my daughter was only 1 year old. I was left to raise her all alone, although my brother effectively stood in as her father. She had a relatively normal childhood. I was lucky that I did not have to work and that my family stepped in so much to help me raise her. Around her teen years, she started exhibiting some worrying behavior. Lots of aggression, hostility, neuroticism, etc. She was very productive and did amazing in school and never got involved in drugs or anything, but her personality changed to become quite cruel and intimidating. I honestly have no idea how it happened or why this change happened with her. She refused any form of counseling or mental health treatment, convinced there was nothing wrong with her. I hate to describe it this way, but the way she treated me and my brother was abusive. She went out of her way to make me feel bad about my weight, my looks, my lack of education, my clumsiness, etc. on a near daily basis. She would do things to embarrass me in public and clearly take pleasure out of seeing me upset or ashamed. She wasn't just like this to me. She also effectively lost all of her friendships, all of her relations with other family, over her behavior. And it wasn't just teasing. If you frustrated her, she would become terrifyingly angry and even physical and destructive. It was the most harrowing years of my life. To see my own daughter turn into this cruel, horrible person. The worst part was that she would go back and forth between being kind and sweet to me and acting like she was some amazing person, and then switch into being cruel. I just bit my tongue. I literally was too scared to talk back to her. There was a time where I tried to rein it in, but eventually I just couldn't deal with it anymore. She left home at 18 and rarely visits. She lives 500 miles away in New Jersey, working towards a career in finance. When I do see her, she acts fine and friendly, but there are moments where I can see her cruel side is still very much there. I remember when she visited for a whole weekend and was totally fine, and then at the end she threw a huge fit at me over dinner being made too late in the night and started screaming at me, calling me dumb, pathetic, ugly, breaking her plate on the ground, and then laughed at me when I started to cry. Very classic behavior. It was almost like she had planned to act nice all weekend just to trick me. Anyways, you get the gist. It has been a constant source of pain for me. I met my husband 5 years ago and married him 3 years ago. My daughter has been nothing but sweet to him when they have met, and so it can be difficult for him to absorb why we are a bit distant. But other family members on my side have assured him what I say is true, so it's not as if he doesn't believe me about her problems. My husband had his family over for dinner. We had a fun time, and I went to bed. I could still hear my husband in the living room drunk, chatting with his sister, who is basically his best friend. Our house has very thin walls. I heard them discuss my daughter, and I was just astounded. She brought up how kids don't just randomly end up that way, and that there has to have been something to make her that way, and he said how I tell him I was this good parent, but he doesn't really think that is true, because if that were true, she wouldn't have ended up that way. He said he isn't sure if I abused her or beat her or something like that. This is paraphrasing heavily. Their conversation went on for easily 20 to 30 minutes. It sounded like they had talked about this before. My husband said that even if I was a horrible parent, it means nothing to him because we aren't having kids. He also mentioned how no mother ever admits they are bad parents and that he doesn't think I would ever admit to being one. But he did say that it's kept up to mess someone up for life like that and then deny it. I was just astounded. Just to be clear, I do think something probably triggered her to end up like that. But I spent years trying to get her to open up, go to therapy, anything, and there was nothing. I made her talk to a counselor, and she didn't take it seriously at all. I have talked with my husband about those years extensively. I have even told him exactly what his sister said, that I think it came from something, I don't know what. I know my grandmother was a very cruel woman, and maybe it was just a genetic thing passed down, but I can't say. I am just so deeply hurt by his comments, that he doesn't believe me. I am his wife. We are completely honest with each other. Well, I thought we were. And yet at the same time, I don't blame him. He is completely correct that horrible mothers don't ever admit they are horrible mothers. I know, I have met plenty, and I also do not blame him for ever bringing up these suspicions. Could you imagine telling your wife you might have been a horrible abusive mother? Basically implying I am lying. Even if he does think that I was, I simply cannot blame him for not ever bringing this up to me. But it doesn't mean I am not deeply, deeply hurt by the fact that he thinks this about me. It's been one day, and I haven't brought it up. I just don't know how. For one, I eavesdropped. That is not okay. But two, it's just uncomfortable to talk about. What do I do? How do I bring this up to him? What do I even say?